Oi! Yes! Here we go, you guys. The second balls deep breakdown of the day. I'm getting tired. It's late night, but we still got work to do this week. UFC 269, there's 15 fights on this card. I broke down all 15 of them on Just the Tip last night. I did a main event breakdown on just DFS by the Numbers channel. The link to that is in the description of this video. Broke down all 15 fights on Stat Tiggers on Sunday. That link is in the description of this video. Broke down the DraftKings slate for this week on Pub Sports Radio. That link is in the description of this video, as is the link to all the stats that you will see in this video. We got a lot of work to do, you guys. So we're going to be talking about the Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett fight at UFC 269. It's another closely lined fight. I wanted to give you some closely lined fights and do as much tape study and go as deep into the numbers as we possibly could so we could find some betting angles on these fights. I found a couple kind of that I like here. It's going to be a banger. Both these guys are really well matched once again. Just like the balls deep breakdown that I did earlier today on Aaron Blanchfield versus Miranda Maverick. That one is going to be another fantastic fight. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Two fantastic prospects. Here we've got a slightly different situation. We got a 31-year-old Dan Ige going up against a 36-year-old Josh Emmett, who's coming off a knee surgery and who hasn't fought since June of 2020. So let's see what the chat is talking about right now, and then we will start getting into these stats and figure out what the hell we're going to do with Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett at UFC 269. My guy Daz Files, the first in the room with the elbow bump, saying he's rolling a J for this one. Let's fucking go. $10 units is still betting, but still sad, if you know what I mean. I started with $10 units, and my units aren't that much bigger than that right now because I'm still learning about analytics. I'm still new to this game, and I'm learning as much as I possibly can as we go here. But like I say in this little message here, the only thing that's sad is gambling more than you can afford to lose. You stay responsible, have fun with it. It's not fun when any bet really kind of determines whether you're going to have a good week or a bad week, or whether you're going to get your thumbs broken by the local loan shark. We don't want that. We don't want our gambling on these fights to be about that. We want to really have fun with this. We want to enjoy gambling. We want to enjoy our favorite sport and use the knowledge about our favorite sport to maybe make a little extra money on the side. So yeah, definitely. It's not about the unit size. It's about having fun, learning a little bit, learning from your mistakes, and getting better as you go along. And we got my guy F. Carrillo in the room saying 1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah, man, if you're having problems, call those guys. If you're thinking about betting on the Tuivasa Sakai fight, maybe bet, time to call 1-800-GAMBLER. I mean, that's just one I don't have any kind of a read on. I don't know who's going to win that fight, but yeah, only bet what you can afford to lose. Bet responsibly, have fun. And, one of the things that I heard said that just makes so much sense is Vegas has to put a line on every fight. We don't have to bet every fight. So, let's find the spots that we enjoy betting on, bet on them, and hopefully make some money. And F. Carrillo also saying, oi, yes. And that is my favorite thing to say at the beginning of any Balls Deep breakdown, at the beginning of Just the Tip, because I'm fired up to see you guys and talk MMA with you guys. So let's get into it, dude. Paul Brassfield saying, oi, yes. It's good to see Paul in here. Daryl Kaiser saying, damn near every underdog on this card has a path to win, in my opinion. Tough card to bet. Yeah, that's one thing. A lot of the spots that I was thinking about betting are just so ridiculously juiced up, it's not even worth betting. I mean, where the Cruz Munoz over 2.5 open. I remember I was thinking about, I'm going to try to get that over 2.5 around minus 200. It opened at minus like 300 or some crazy shit like that, and it's like, well, I like the spot, but I don't like it that much. So we got to be real careful, about not just betting the spots that we like. There's got to be some value in them. And Daryl's saying that Nunez inside the distance at minus 350 is calling him. minus 350 for inside the distance on anybody is so fucking juiced. It's crazy. That's about a 78% implied probability, if my math is correct, for inside the distance. And I mean, she couldn't finish Felicia Spencer. There's so better. She couldn't finish Jermaine Duran to me. So I don't know. It's too juiced for me. And the problem when you're betting these really, really, really dominant fighters is like Shevchenko, who's winding up minus 1,500. Nunez, who's gotten bet up to minus 2,000 before. Kayla Harrison, the only way to make any kind of a bet that makes any kind of sense at all is just to first round KO or second round submission. And then even then you're paying such juiced odds. I never bet on Nunez fights, and I don't bet against her either. My guy DK in the room saying hardest working man in MMA betting. I appreciate that. I was just saying on the Balls Deep breakdown earlier today that this will be my 10th hour of content on YouTube this week, just since Sunday. Or this will actually probably be my 9th hour of content. And then the 10th hour of content will be Best Bet on DFS by the Numbers channel 1 hour before fight time on Saturday. So yeah, I do work hard, but you guys have been reciprocating, and you guys have been watching my videos. You guys have been liking my videos. Just the Tip has already got almost 100 likes, I think, from just last night, and over 500 views. And you guys have subscribed to my channel in alarming rates. I've got 925 subscribers, and I just started doing that like midway through this year. So I work hard, but the amount of support that I get from you guys, the people who watch my videos, is inspiring to me, and it makes me work even harder. So thank you. Davey Allen saying, good to be here. You work hard, Stat Master. Thanks. I appreciate that, Davey. That means a lot, man. Darren Cheska saying, hey, Weezy, love the breakdowns. I appreciate you being here, Darren. It means a lot, man. Victor J. DeJesus says, sup, Unc, let's make this money. Let's get it. Let's make this money. We're going to look at all of these odds today. Enjoying the ride together. Let's cash with no tears. You got that right, man. DK saying it's not the unit size, it's how you use it. It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean. There's a lot of things like that. But, when it comes down to unit size, it really doesn't matter because, a guy with a $10 unit who's got a 15% return on investment is way more impressive than a guy with a $1,000 unit who's losing money. It's about beating the game with whatever size unit you have, and beating the game, whether your unit is this big or whether it's this big, is fucking hard. You're up against the bookies. You're up against the mathematicians that run those books that very rarely take stupid risks. You're up against the judges. You're up against the refs. You're up against the people that might even be trying to fix the fights, especially on the lower level scene. You're up against some things here, and then you're up against fighters that might make really bad decisions in the cage, or really bad coaches that, give up, really bad game plans for the, so there's a lot of things that you're up against in this game, but I wouldn't have it any other way, man. MMA is the best. And Victor saying wise words. I appreciate that, man. Meticulous MMA saying perfectly said. I appreciate that. Nobody's ever called my words perfect before, but I appreciate that, Meticulous. We got my guy, Chris Colanzis. They're going to cut my thumbs, Uncle Weezy, he says. Yeah, we don't need that, man. We want to be responsible. We want to have fun. I was hanging out with Chris on, we were watching the fights on Saturday, and as I watched that Santos bet go to shit, and as I watched the Crute bet go to shit, I was 1-2 on my bets. I had Puelli's, and then I had the bets on Santos, which is the biggest bet of the week. That one really, really hurt. And then I had the Crute bet. And I was just laughing about it. I posted the picture of Crute with the black eye on Twitter and said that this is what bad fight IQ looks like. And then I said, if Jimmy Crute's fight IQ was a hairstyle, it would be a mullet, and I just laughed my ass off about it, because we make mistakes. And if you can't laugh at your losses, then you're betting too much or you're taking it too seriously. So we got G, the mattress guy, in the room saying, you all got to get at Bout Better on here. He's made me a lot of money lately. That's cool, man. Yeah, Bout Better. Stupid YouTube did not give notice. Oh man, I put out this link like 2 hours ago, but DK saying Weezy talking me off the ledge. Yeah, get off that ledge, man. Get off that ledge. About better saying, speak, Weezy. Tell him if you say the right things, Weezy, I got a bottle for you. I appreciate that, man. I need 3 for 100. I'm a micro betting pro. Yeah. Hey, why not? Don't advise it. Happening, bro. We got Mugwong Zerg in the room. Good to see you, man. Does Weezy have a way to donate or a Patreon? So I do not yet at the moment. But once I get my YouTube channel up to 1,000 subscribers, which hopefully will be by the end of the year, I think there will be a donate button on my videos where you'll be able to donate to me if you find some value in the work that I'm doing. But during the month off, I'm not going to be taking really any time off. I'm going to be working straight through for the entire month to try to upgrade everything that I'm doing on YouTube. But really what I want to do is start a Patreon where we not only give you access to the free stats that I have here, but now since I'll have a month in order to be able to build some analytics, I'd like to build some analytics and then create a Patreon that'll give you access to the database, the analytics, and have an easy way of looking at some of the benchmarks for certain divisions, for certain types of bets. I want to back test some models, and I want to find some things that could potentially be of value to people. I don't necessarily want to be the guy that's telling you, bet 3 units on this fight, bet 2 units on this prop, and have people pay me for betting advice. But what I'd like to give people is access to the database that I've built and to the back testing and to the data science that I've done on UFC fights, and let them know that here are some benchmarks for certain types of bets. I could build models for over-under bets and for money line bets and for things of that nature, and give you guys some access to that. And hopefully it would be really valuable information. And because I'm a one-man operation, that I could make it affordable for everybody. And that's going to be the plan for next year. So as of right now, I do it all for free, and I have no problem with that. But I'm building something here. I'm building analytics. I'm building a database. And once that's all built, and once the data science is done and the back testing has been done, then I plan to have some kind of a product where you can not only support me, but you'll get something for supporting me, access to a product that I've spent the last 2 years building. So that's the long-term plan for me. And I'm going to be doing a lot of work during the time off to not only get access to those analytics and really use my database in order to build them, but not only that, upgrade all the visuals for the videos that I'm already doing, get access to paid StreamYard because I don't have the money to do it right now. And build some graphics. And so I've been talking to some people about getting all that done too. So really looking forward to doing that and really improving the content for you guys going forward. Weezy reminds me of one of the characters from Hunger Games. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie all the way through yet, so I have no idea who that even might be, but I wonder who it is. Bout Better saying I'm a huge Weezy fan, a fellow Chicagoan and Bout Better. I appreciate that, brother. And we got Davey Allen saying, oh, Santos. Yeah, I know. Oh, Keith Peterson and oh, Santos. They both deserve a little bit of blame. And I deserve the blame for betting on them, but what are you going to do? DK, he can get $1 at 1,000 subs. Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for, man. We here, let's break him down, Weezy. Yeah, absolutely, man. Give us just the tip. I'm here, G the Mattress Guy. Weezy's legit Chi-Town legend. He's building his Weezy hive. Weezers. What should we be called? What should we be called? I don't know, man. You should be called MMA fans, man. You should be called diehard MMA fans. Weezy puts it in. I do, man. Weezy info on the way. Here it comes, you guys. Let's get these stats up on the board. So Weezy smells that Dolo. Let's all smell it, man. I got the smell of big dreams in my nose. I got the smell of hard work in my nose. I got the smell of a little bit of tequila and grapefruit soda here in my nose because I've been working really hard. Now I want to have a little sip of a beverage before we get into the stats for Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett. My guy B in the room, I appreciate that. My man saying, oi, and Weezy we trust, just getting here. Thumbs up and thanks, man. I appreciate that. Let's get my guy, my co-host, Smooth Jimmy, on the screen here for you guys. And then he can bring up these stats that he has so tirelessly compiled for you guys so that we can make some money on this fight. I got the UFC stats page up here for Ige. We got all the stats here. And once again, as usual, the link to this matchup template is in the description of the video. Click on it, and you can follow along with not only the stats for this particular fight, but for Paiva O'Malley, for France Garbrandt, for Neil Ponzinibbio, for all 15 fights on the card. And then all the way over to the left on the bottom on the tabs is the advanced stats. And these have the player cards, the offense, the defense, all the stats that you could possibly imagine for all 30 fighters on the card. Download it for free. Use it to help you make your gambling decisions, because the more access of information that we have, the better decisions that we can make. So let's get started breaking down this fight, you guys. And right away, at the tail of the tape, we see that Dan Ige's got some big advantages, you guys. First of all, being 30 years old in comparison to 36 for Josh Emmett is a big deal. Also, Josh Emmett coming off about a 1.5 year layoff here and knee surgery. So Dan Ige being the younger guy is kind of a big deal here. He's also 1 inch taller and will have a 1 inch reach advantage. Emmett has always been training out of Team Alpha Male, while Dan Ige's at Extreme Couture. When we look at the pro experience numbers, it's Dan Ige who has one more fight and about 30 minutes more in the pro cage, despite the fact that he's been a pro for about 3 less years. Dan Ige's been a lot more active, almost 3 fights per year as a pro, while Josh Emmett, less than 2 fights a year, about 1.8 fights per year as a pro. So Dan Ige's definitely been the more busy guy. He's got a little more experience, and he actually has 2 more fights at the UFC level and about 35 more minutes in the UFC cage. So right off the bat, 6 years younger, 1 inch taller, 1 inch height advantage, 1 more pro fight, 2 more fights at the UFC level, 35 more minutes in the UFC cage, and 35 more minutes or 30 more minutes in the pro cage. So some early advantages here for Dan Ige. When we look at how these guys finish fights, we see that Dan Ige is really kind of an equal opportunity finisher here. He's got 5 wins by submission and 4 wins by knockout of his 15 professional wins. And in his 8 UFC fights, he has finished 4 of them inside the distance, 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. We see that Josh Emmett's finish rate is only 50% as a pro. 8 of his 16 wins coming inside the distance, 6 of them by knockout, 2 of them by submission. And in Emmett's 7 UFC wins, he has finished 3 inside the distance, all 3 of them by knockout, while Ige's gotten a couple by submission and a couple by knockout. When we look at how these guys lose fights, in their 6 combined pro losses, we see that Josh Emmett and Dan Ige have only combined for 1 loss inside the distance. So both of these guys are extraordinarily tough. Some examples that I can think of is Dan Ige was knocked down by Edson Barbosa in round 1, and then he got ground and pounded good and hard after he was knocked down, and it didn't even look like it fazed him. These Hawaiian dudes are so incredibly tough, so incredibly game, that you really have to shut their lights completely off to get them out of there. And Dan Ige has never been knocked out in his career. And as a matter of fact, he's never been finished in his career. So, and this is a guy that in 19 professional fights, not only he's never been finished, but he's fought some of the toughest competition that the UFC has to offer. So these are extraordinarily tough individuals. Josh Emmett, in his last fight, this fight right here, you guys, where is my cursor? If we go over right here, it was the Shane Burgos fight. And you guys know how Shane Burgos goes to war every single time he fights. Josh Emmett tore his knee up about 10 seconds into that fight. 10 seconds into the first round, he tore up his knee, his left knee, and then he was throwing kicks with it the rest of the fight. And not only that, knocked Burgos down twice in the second round, And I don't know how Burgos absorbed some of those shots, but he did, and he survived to the bell. But prior to that, the last 4 fights before the Burgos fight all ended in knockout. Josh Emmett has been knocked out once in the UFC. It was by Jeremy Stephens, and there's really no shame in that. Jeremy Stephens is an absolutely huge featherweight and holds the featherweight record for the most knockdowns in UFC history. So, but a lot of those knockdowns did come at lightweight for Jeremy Stephens. And we see that he knocked out Mirsad Bektik, he knocked out Michael Johnson, and he knocked out Ricardo Lamas. And he knocked out Ricardo Lamas like scary stiff. That was nasty. Michael Johnson, too, as a matter of fact. The Bektik was more of a ground and pound knockout. But if we look at these striking statistics, you guys, both of these guys landing about the same amount more than they absorb. So they're both kind of winning minutes on the feet. But one of the things that I really wanted to pay attention to here is that, is the power of Josh Emmett. So Emmett's landing 4.32 significant strikes per minute and only absorbing 4.02 for a positive significant strike differential of 0.3. His striking accuracy is below 40%, but his knockdowns per total significant strikes landed is at 2.21%. So that's very high. Probably next to Jeremy Stephens, right there is highest in the division. But what is highest in the division is 1.43 knockdowns per 15 minutes. So I went and I sorted the stats. And for the featherweight division in the UFC, Josh Emmett is the #1 ranking of all the fighters in the knockdowns per 15 minutes ranking with 1.43. Number 2 is Charles Jourdain with 1.02. And number 3 is Giga Chikadze with 0.99. So it goes to show you that not only does he have a ton of power, but this is coming in a 9-fight sample size. And if we do the calculations here, on 450 strikes, 2.2% of those strikes comes out to 10. So that means he's landed 10 UFC knockdowns in 9 fights. He averages more than 1 knockdown per fight. Josh Emmett has extraordinary power. But while we look over at the numbers here for Ige, you guys, Ige is also landing 0.41 more significant strikes than he absorbs. He actually is landing strikes at about 7% more accurate rate than Emmett is. And his own knockdowns per total significant strikes landed is good. He's landed 4 knockdowns in 538 UFC fights. That's an excellent percentage. Very good for a featherweight. So Dan Ige, he's got power in his own right standing up. And when we look at the striking defense numbers, both of these guys land more than they absorb. But it's Emmett who's throwing more volume, but that could potentially be a function of the fact that Emmett's fights have spent more time standing than Ige's fights have. So when you're spending a lot more time in controlled positions, whether it's for or against, the amount of significant strikes that you throw per minute tends to go down. There's a correlation between output and the amount of time that you spend on your feet. So, when you see somebody with 15 significant strikes per minute output, you're probably going to see over 90% of that fighter's time taking place on the feet here. So both of these guys show really good defense, though. 56.78% for Ige, 63.52% for Josh Emmett. And Emmett does move very well on his feet. He's very light. He bounces around a lot. He moves laterally a lot. While Ige tends to stay in the pocket and throw. Both of these guys throw heavy leather. And they both plant their feet and really go. It's just that, in my opinion, Josh Emmett seems to be a little more elusive, a little bouncier, a little more lateral movement and head movement than we see out of Ige. But both of these guys are very technical with their boxing, and they both throw with a ton of power. But when we look at how much these guys are being knocked down, very negligible amounts, you guys. 1 knockdown. Josh Emmett's been knocked down once in 9 fights, and Dan Ige has been knocked down 4, 8. So, yeah, once in 11 fights. So both of these guys are notoriously tough with fantastic chins. The guy who knocked down Ige was it was Barbosa in round 1, and the guy who knocked down Emmett was obviously Jeremy Stevens, who really nailed him with a left hook that was absolutely beautiful, that Emmett did not see coming. So if you're asking me who wins the minutes on the feet, it's going to be very close, but I think Emmett will be a little bit better defensively, and he just lands with so much power. He throws with so much power. Both of these guys do land very eye-catching, heavy strikes, but I do believe that Josh Emmett will have a slight edge on the feet here due to the fact that he's a little bit more defensively sound, and he does hit harder. But when we get into the grappling stats here, this is where it gets kind of interesting. So let's start breaking it down here. Josh Emmett, 9 fights, 21 takedown attempts, and 10 of them have been successful for a 47.62% takedown percentage. That's excellent. That's very, very efficient. 1.43 takedowns per 15 minutes, only 0.14 submission attempts per 15 minutes. And Josh Emmett, on those 10 takedowns, has controlled his opponents 8.61% of his UFC career. So at 104 minutes, that's about 9 minutes of control time on 10 takedowns. So that tells me that Josh Emmett will get the takedowns every once in a while, but he's not going to use it to win minutes on the ground. He's not going to lay and prey on top of you. He's not really thinking even of using his wrestling to win minutes, to win fights. He's using his hands and his power and his boxing to land big shots. And it's just an evidence that when you got 10 UFC knockdowns in 9 fights, that you are a little more reliant on your hands than you are on your wrestling. And we can see that in those 10 takedowns, which is a decent amount, 1.43 takedowns per 15 minutes, that's all real good. But the amount of control time per takedown is not there. This guy is not going to win minutes by laying on top of you. And then we look at the grappling defense. 50% takedown defense. So that's not very good. But we look, he's only been taken down 4 times in 9 fights, but his opponents have only shot 8 takedowns against him in 9 fights. So that's interesting. What would Josh Emmett do if he was faced with a grappling heavy attack? And I think it's very interesting that if we look at Josh Emmett's UFC statistics here, this is the Ige page. But the other fight that he lost was the Desmond Green fight. And Desmond Green shot only 2 takedowns and only got 33 seconds of control time in that fight, but still managed to win. So we do see that, like, the takedowns again, Burgos got 0, Bektic got 0, who's known for his wrestling. Johnson got 0. Stevens got 0. Lamas got 0. Orange got 0. It was 1 for Desmond Green and 3 for Scott Holtzman. But even though Holtzman got 3 and got 3 minutes and 15 seconds of control time, Josh Emmett got 8 takedowns in that fight and got 4 minutes of control time. So even though Holtzman was trying to wrestle and came out getting a takedown right away, but it was Emmett who threw 4 takedown attempts in the first. So Emmett was actually out wrestling Holtzman in one of the only fights that we saw anybody even trying to take down Josh Emmett. So it seems like Emmett, to me, you guys, is the kind of guy who keeps that wrestling in his back pocket. He's only attempting just a little over 2 takedown attempts per fight, and he's not trying to keep people down with it. When he does get taken down, he's been controlled for maybe 5 minutes, probably not even on 4 takedown attempts. So even the guys that are taking him down are not being able to control him for long periods of time. So I guess something that we haven't really seen in Emmett fights is can he be controlled on the ground? Is his defensive wrestling that good? Is his get-up game that good? Is his ground game that good? Where if somebody did come in with a wrestling-heavy game plan and tried to outwork him on the ground, could they be successful? You know, will that surgically repaired left knee of Josh Emmett's hold up in a wrestling-heavy game plan? I don't know. But what we do see out of Ige is more of a willingness to wrestle, you guys. 51 takedown attempts in only 11 fights. So he's attempting 4.5 takedowns per fight, and he's getting more than 1 takedown per fight. He's averaging about the same amount of takedowns per 15 minutes. The thing is that Ige's been less efficient with his wrestling. He's only getting those takedowns at about a 25% clip here. So Emmett is more efficient with it and uses it less, but is still only averaging about 5% less control time than Dan Ige. So another alarming thing about Ige here that bothers me is that Ige has attempted 51 takedowns in 11 fights, but Ige's opponents have only attempted 27 takedowns. But Ige is being out-controlled by his opponents 13.7 or 18.27% to 13.71%. So not only is Ige not great at getting takedowns, he's also not good at defending them. So 55% takedown defense for Dan Ige. He's been taken down 12 times on 27 attempts. So he's being taken down 1.28 times for 15 minutes, while Emmett is really only being taken down 0.57 times for 15 minutes. And that could be a function of the fact that Josh Emmett does move a lot on his feet, laterally, back and forth. He is constantly moving. His conditioning is very good. So maybe he's just kind of hard to take down. But his takedown defense is even worse percentage-wise than Dan Ige. But if we look at how much Dan Ige's been controlled, about 18%, that would be about 27 minutes, I'm guessing. So 27 minutes of control time for Ige's opponents on only 12 successful takedowns. So Dan Ige, when he gets taken down, looks a little more willing to stay on his back, a little more willing to work off his back. And if you're not actually completing any submissions from your back, you're losing minutes while you're there. So Josh Emmett more efficient with his takedown attempts. Josh Emmett out-controlling his opponents while Dan Ige is being out-controlled by his opponents. And what's even more alarming about Ige being out-controlled by his opponents is that his opponents are out-controlling him with only 27 takedown attempts, while Ige has attempted 51. So while I have to give that power advantage and that minute winning advantage on the feet, I got to give it to Emmett. I also feel like I have to give the grappling edge to Josh Emmett here. He's just been more efficient. Dan Ige has not been efficient, and that 55.56% takedown defense leads me to believe that if Josh Emmett wants to win a minute or two here or there in the first, second, or third rounds, he's going to have the option to do that. And it also seems to me with that power that he's going to be the guy landing the more impressive strikes. So that takes us through tail of the tape. It takes us through experience, finish stats, striking, and grappling stats. So now we're going to have to go to the strength of schedule stats, but I need to see what you guys are saying in the chat here, catch up with you guys, see if there's anything I missed. So, all right. The Weezites are here, says Davey Allen. And Tim Troiano's in the room saying, sup, Weezy. I appreciate you, Tim. You're always supporting me out on Twitter. Love you, brother. Good to see you in here. Have a sip and a toke, my bro. I'm going to take you up on that. I'm not going to toke right now, but I am going to sip right now. Thank you, B. And we got Bout Better saying, I got a bottle for this man. If he agrees with me, well, we'll see if I agree with you, man. Darren Cheska saying, what an excellent, potentially exciting fight. Agreed, man. Very. Sounds like he would appreciate some fine tequila. I appreciate tequila. I am an appreciator of tequila and mezcal. They are my two favorite alcoholic beverages. And B saying, smash the like, my like-minded brothers. I appreciate that, B. DK saying, who you guys got for this fight? I like Ige. I'll let you know who I got. Bout Better saying, G the mattress guy. Thanks, my guy. I appreciate that. Dazfile says, dad power for happy dad Dan. He'll get knocked down, not out. Yeah, dude, it's so hard to knock either of these guys out. They're both incredibly tough. Darren saying, in a robotic way, Emmett wins. But of course, we have to take all the factors into consideration. Yes, we do. Hoping Weezy going to say he has a lot of volume. Well, both of these guys have a lot of volume, but Josh Emmett in particular. And Hawaii getting finished lately. Yeah, Smolka got finished with a quite a shot there by Vince Morales, and it does happen sometimes. Yeah, but Max Holloway never gets finished, and neither does Dan Ige. Bout Better saying, I would love to have our collaboration with Weezy, but we have our zones. Love you, her bro, have a legit insights too. Yeah. And Darren saying, I'm not surprised Emmett is number one with knockdowns. Yeah, he's number one with knockdowns for 15 minutes, but actually it's Jeremy Stevens who has more career knockdowns, but a lot of those knockdowns came at 155 for Stevens, not just at 145, but Jeremy Stevens is the hardest hitting featherweight, you guys. DK saying, how many times had Ige been knocked down, I wonder? He's only been knocked down once, DK, in 481 significant strikes absorbed for a 0.21% knockdowns per total significant strikes absorbed, and he's getting knocked down 0.11 times per 15 minutes. Yeah, man. And G the Mattress Guy, maybe you and me and Uncle Weezy share a Paloma someday. That sounds like a plan, you guys. DK saying a Paloma is a tequila drink, right? Yes, it is. It is tequila. This is mezcal, actually, but it's tequila or mezcal, but it's tequila technically. Grapefruit soda, pinch of salt, and a lime wedge. It's a lovely, refreshing beverage. And somebody got to collaborate with you. You have the best picks, making a whole lot of money from your channel. Daz Files saying, wow, okay, Emmett got more volume. Yeah, he's got more volume, but Daz Files, that comes with a caveat, right? See, even though he's got more volume, we see that Dan Ige is spending 32% of his time in control time positions, while for Emmett, it's only about 12%. So that 20% of the time that Dan Ige is not in control time positions, his volume numbers would be going up if he was on the feet. We just see a lot less significant strike attempts per minute when you're in control time positions. So even though just on paper, Emmett has the more volume, when they're both standing, they will probably be throwing about the same amount of volume. Emmett going to take this, says G. Yeah, man, it's a great fight. The guy that knocks you dead has more volume. Well, here's the thing. Ige throws more volume than his opponents. Emmett actually on the aggregate throws just a little bit less volume than his opponents, but they both throw a lot of volume. Bout Better saying, I've not placed a bet on this bout, and I won't until Weezy's analysis. Yeah, and I haven't placed a bet on this one. A fight goes the distance minus 155. Now you just broke into my head there, DK, because that's what I'm thinking for this fight. Both of these guys have got great power. We've seen Dan Ige, I believe, finish 3 fights in the first round just in the UFC, right? Gavin Tucker in 22 seconds. Danny Henry in 1 minute and 17 seconds, and Mike Santiago in less than a minute, 50 seconds. So, yeah, Ige has finished some lower level opponents, not Tucker, but Danny Henry and Mike Santiago within a minute, right? An average of a minute for each of them. And then the Gavin Tucker was just a punch that Tucker did not see coming, but that's Ige's power. So you would think that, more people would be betting the under in this fight, but I can't bet the under because even though these guys finish fights at a decent ratio, so 15 combined UFC wins for these guys, and 3 plus 4 is 7 out of 15. So it's less than 50% of their wins finish inside the distance. But in the UFC, you guys, these guys have lost 5 fights, and only one of them has been inside the distance. And that was the knockout from Jeremy Stevens, who hits as hard as any featherweight that there is, maybe next to Josh Emmett. And Emmett knocked down Stevens in round 1 of that fight. So that was going to be a war, you guys. That was a main event that was scheduled for 5 rounds. So, that was a close fight. Emmett came very close to finishing it in the first round, but it was Stevens who landed the big left hook in the second round and then finished the fight, despite the fact that while Emmett was on both knees, Stevens threw a knee with really bad intentions, that the only reason he didn't get disqualified was because that knee missed. But it was really weird. And then he finished it on the ground. So even though it looks like, Ige's finishing fights, Emmett finishes fights, I like this one to go the distance because both of these dudes are notoriously tough. Neither of these guys will ever quit in a fight. Ige's got a legendary chin, and Josh Emmett's got a really good chin. The only guy that's cracked at Jeremy Stevens. So at minus 155 fight going the distance, I think it's an excellent bet, DK. Daz File saying knockdown plus volume wastes dad power narrative then. And Joey's second pick is Josh Emmett. I hate it. Darren saying Desmond Green, what a piece of trash that guy is personally, in my opinion. I don't know anything about Desmond Green as a person, but I just remember him being a really relentless wrestler, pretty good all-around fighter, but I don't know anything about him as a person, so I certainly can't comment that. Word is Emmett's knees are shot, says Bout Better. Well, Emmett, so yeah, they could certainly be shot, and that's the X factor here, you guys. As much as I think that Emmett will have a striking advantage here and will have a grappling advantage here due to the fact that he's more efficient in the grappling exchanges. Dan Ige being 6 years younger, not coming off of knee surgery, and being more experienced are all really big deals in this analysis. And like I say, Emmett tore up his knee in the first 10 seconds of his last fight back in June of 2020, and it's taken him this long to get back to the cage. And now he's a 36-year-old featherweight. So he's coming up against the end of his career. They say the last thing to go is the power, though. And that's scary if you're betting against Josh Emmett. But yes, the knees, Bout Better, not in good shape. It's after midnight. Really appreciate your insight. We'll watch this on the flip side. 926 subscribers. Let's try and get this to 1K. Fit 1.5K plus. Weezy's gold. The stats, man. I appreciate you, B. Good night. Get a good night's sleep. Dude, I'm turning off my phone when I go to bed tonight. I'm going to try to sleep like 10 hours. I'm exhausted. And I got to get started on next week's stats bright and early in the morning. So I am going to be going to bed fairly soon myself. I appreciate you, B, for hanging out. Ooh, that knee thing. Yeah, DK, he does not have good knees. I need 3 subs to 100. Fucking sad. No, that's not sad. We all got to start somewhere, man. What Emmett are we going to see, says Bout Better? Well, I think we should see a good one. We always see a good Josh Emmett. I mean, the only fight that he lost, other than the Jeremy Stevens fight, which was a 5-round main event where he got caught, was the Desmond Green fight, and that fight was a split decision, very close. So Josh Emmett always seems to show up. He always seems to put on a really good performance. He's been in a lot of close fights, but I think we're going to see the same Josh Emmett. And even when Emmett tore up his knee in the last fight, 15 seconds in, I'm telling you guys, he fought the next 4 minutes and 45 seconds of round 1, the next 5 minutes of round 2, and the next 5 minutes of round 3, as if nothing was wrong. And you could tell he was hurt. So I think we're going to see the same Josh Emmett that we always see. A game Josh Emmett that brings a ton of power and a really good defensive wrestling game to the cage. And I think he's going to be very dangerous. Can Emmett still wrestle? That is a good question. If his knees are shot, he probably can't still offensively wrestle, but maybe he can defensively wrestle. You know who else's knees are shot, you guys? Kamaru Usman. Completely shot. His knees are fucked. Does it look like it when he fights? No, it doesn't. It looks like he's still the greatest of all fucking time. Him and George St. Pierre, the two in the conversation there at 170 pounds. The two most dominant fighters ever in the welterweight division. And one of them has completely shot knees. I hear he has to walk upstairs backwards. I don't know if that's true or not, but some of these guys are really born to do this shit, and you can like remove an arm like Nick Newell, and they'll still go out there and fight. Well, I mean, I know Newell wasn't, he never had it, but come on. I mean, some of these guys, they're just game. Hard-hitting athlete, Emmett. Yeah, you got that right, man. I don't believe there will be any grappling in this fight. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Ige tries to initiate some if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet. But I do see it being a striking match. Can you do a poll who gets taken down first? Yeah. Who do you guys think gets taken down first? Because both of these guys really don't have great takedown defense. But Ige shoots 4.5 takedowns per fight, while Josh Emmett shoots just about 2.5. So I think Ige will be the more likely to shoot first. But in terms of who gets taken down first, Josh Emmett's been taken down 4 times in 8 attempts, but he's, like I say, he's been controlled for less than 5 minutes in 9 fights. So, I mean, even whoever gets taken down first, it probably won't stay there for long. But I think maybe it's Ige who gets taken down first, because that 55% takedown defense in a 27 takedown attempt sample size is a little bit concerning. And the fact that he attempts about half the amount of takedowns that his opponents attempt, the half the amount of takedowns that Ige attempts, and that Ige is still getting out controlled is very concerning. DK saying, I don't think anyone's going to get significant control time, but we could see some round stealing takedowns. Yeah, if they're close, that's always a great thing to do. And because neither one of these guys has the kind of submission game that you really fear, you could see that at the end of rounds. Bout Better saying there will be grappling. The stats on these fellows are so similar. Yes, they are. I couldn't help but lean towards the favorite here, says Eric. Fight goes to decision for Davey Allen. Yeah, I agree with you there. I like that. Fight goes to decision bet, minus 155. I'm flying over from Australia for that drink. That's a long flight, Davey, but if you fly that long, man, I'll make you a few fucking drinks, dude. Because that's like a 24-hour flight from Australia to Chicago. Who doesn't want a Paloma? That's right. He made it sound like a barista. Let's see here. Let's just say Ige doesn't knock down Emmett. When I think of their skill sets, I see a tentative Ige and a hard-throwing Emmett. I've never seen Ige tentative. Watch the Barbosa fight. If Dan Ige wasn't tentative against Barbosa, I don't see him being tentative against Emmett. Ige is so game, so tough. I think these guys are going to both be winging heat. But the thing is like I'd say the way that these guys fight, oh yeah, somebody's definitely getting knocked out. But there's no reason for me to question any of these dudes' toughness, especially Ige, as I saw some of those shots that Barbosa was landing. It didn't even look like they were bothering him, man. And these were serious shots. And I saw the same thing with Burgos, with some of the shots that he was landing against Emmett. It's scary how Emmett just took those and ate them like a pancake and kept moving forward. So, yeah, both of these guys are incredibly tough. Uncle Weezy's Paloma drink is going viral. Paloma and a J. Sub to Weezy and sub to Bout Better too. I think I'm already subbed to your channel, Bout Better, but I'll double check after the Balls Deep breakdown is over. Get some rest, Dunk. You deserve it. Yeah, I'm going to get some after this Balls Deep breakdown. I shot you a sub, Bout. I appreciate that, DK. That means a lot, man. Any friend of Weezy's is a friend of mine. It's good to see everybody getting subs. We can all sub to each other's channels. It's free, you guys, and it helps show the appreciation for the work that the content creators do out there. So get out there and sub to everybody's channels when you enjoy their work. And I don't see any takedowns, honestly. I see some bad attempts, desperation attempts. That's more what I see too. Victor saying, I'm just across the lake. I'll join in on a drink. Not tequila, though. Whiskey for me, please. Yeah, dude, you can drink whatever you want, Victor. And which lake are you across? Are you across Lake Michigan? Because I get over to Southwest Michigan on the regular. I get over to South Haven. I get over to South Haven and Grand Rapids and Saugatuck sometimes, because my girlfriend's mother has a place out there that we like to get away. As a matter of fact, I'll probably be going there next weekend just to get out of the city and enjoy the country life. My dog loves running around in the farm there. It's awesome. But yeah, Southwest Michigan is one of my favorite places to go vacation. You're in Grand Rapids. That's awesome, dude. I get up there, man. We're going to have to hook up one time, Victor. I've been over to there's a brewery I really like there. Brewery Vivant in Grand Rapids is awesome. They got some great beer, man. So, yeah, maybe we'll be able to hook up one time. And G the Mattress guy saying Ige might get knocked down late in the fight from this last fight. Yeah, dude, either anybody can get knocked down in this fight. Both of these guys absolutely hit like trucks. Davey's saying I'm across the Pacific Pond. That's a big ass pond, Davey. You can't send tequila over the internet, but nice thought. Let me know, man. I'll buy you a drink. I appreciate that, Victor. So let's get into these strength of schedule stats here, you guys. The last thing that we need to look at here, because both of these guys have fought some studs. So when we look at the ratio, we're going to see Dan Ige with a 1.58 win-to-loss ratio. That's the win-to-loss ratio of the collective competition that Dan Ige has fought in his UFC career. And for Josh Emmett, it's 1.24. But we see that Josh Emmett's fighting the much more experienced competition at 13.67 total fights in comparison to 7.27 for Ige. So what that tells us is that the average UFC record of a Dan Ige opponent after you strip out the Dan Ige fights is 4.45 wins and 2.82 losses. So very respectable, good win-loss ratio, a lot more wins than losses. And it's the same thing for Emmett. It's just more experienced opponents with not as good of a win-loss ratio, 7.56 wins, 6.11 losses. When we look at the type of fighters that these guys are beating, it's a little bit better for Emmett because the ratio is almost identical, but we see that Emmett is beating the more experienced competition with 12.14 total fights in comparison to 7 for Ige. And then the losses are a little bit better for Ige. He's losing a better competition, but the guys like Desmond Green and it's Des Green and Jeremy Stevens, who are the guys who beat Josh Emmett, while Dan Ige is lost to Barbosa and Chan Sung Jung. So, or wait, no, he got the win over Barbosa. So, let's see here. Ige lost to the Korean Zombie and Calvin Cater, and then Julio Arce in his UFC debut by unanimous decision. So the guys who have beaten Ige, the three guys have a combined record of 18-9, and the guys that Ige has beaten have a combined record of 34-30. He's got wins over Luis Gomez on the Contender Series, Mike Santiago, Jordan Griffin, Danny Hendry, Kevin Aguilar, Mirsad Bektic, Edson Barbosa, and Gavin Tucker. And they do have a common opponent. We've got a win by split decision here over Mirsad Bektic. While if we go up here to Josh Emmett, we see that Mirsad Bektic was knocked out in the first round by Josh Emmett. So Josh Emmett's wins are over John Tuck, Scott Holtzman 7-5, Felipe Aranch 5-6, Ricardo Lamas 11-6, and that was an amazing knockout. Knocked Ricardo stiff. It was very scary. Michael Johnson 11-13, Mirsad Bektic 6-4, and then the most recent win, tore his knee up in the first, but still beat Shane Burgos 7-2 in the UFC. And the losses are Jeremy Stevens and Desmond Green, who's 4-3 in the UFC. So yeah, the strength of schedule, it looks very similar to me, you guys. It looks like Ige's losses are better, losing to guys like Cater and the Korean Zombie, while the wins over Michael Johnson, Mirsad Bektic, Shane Burgos, Ricardo Lamas, Scott Holtzman, 5 guys with winning records, while we've got only 3 guys with winning records, Bektic, Barbosa, and Tucker here, while the rest of the guys are about 500. Danny Hendry, 2-4, Jordan Griffin, 1-3, Santiago, and 0-1, Luis Gomez. So I believe Mike Santiago is even a Chicago guy. So yeah, it looks really close, you guys, on the strength of schedule. So let's go back to this here. So yeah, I think I'll give, you know what? Let's just call the strength of schedule even. I'm going to call it even. I like Emmett's wins better. I like Ige's losses better. I think these guys have fought a very comparable level of competition. So I'm going to give the striking and the grappling edges to Emmett. I'm going to give the tail of the tape and the experience edges to Ige. And in terms of how these guys finish fights, I think it's actually pretty close. Ige, the more diverse finisher. Emmett, the more powerful striker, more likely to knock you out. You guys, this is a real close fight. And let's see where the lines have it right now. So right now, Dan Ige is the underdog here. You can get him at plus 155 right now on, it looks like Caesars. And he's only minus 150 on Bet Online. So if you have Caesars and you have Bet Online, there is a arbitrage opportunity there. Whenever the plus number is bigger than the minus number, that's free money. So it looks like the true market is probably minus 150 for Josh Emmett. That's the best line that you can get. So right now, it looks like everybody else is about minus 160, minus 170, up to minus 190 on Josh Emmett. While it looks like the aggregate line for Emmett is minus 171, and the aggregate line for Ige is plus 142. We were mentioning that fight goes to decision at minus 155, minus 154 on FanDuel. That's a bet that I like. I do think as hard as both of these guys hit, as scary of power as Josh Emmett has, both of these guys are extremely durable. And I do see this fight going to decision. I'm not running to the window to bet it yet because I could see actually this getting a little bit closer. I could see some money coming in on the fight doesn't go, because when you go back and you look at some of those viral knockouts by Emmett and Ige, it might lead you to believe that this fight will finish inside the distance. But I think the X factor for that fight going to decision is the durability of both of these guys. Since I like the fight going to decision, I actually think the value here will be on the decision bets. So Ige by decision right now on the aggregate is about plus 250, while Emmett by decision is about plus 168. So it looks like the bookies are kind of on top of it. Looks like there's not a lot of difference between the money line and in terms of implied probability, it looks like less than 10% actually between the money line and where you get these decision bets. But Emmett, by decision is kind of interesting to me here, especially at plus 190 on FanDuel. You guys, I'm going to pick Josh Emmett to win this fight. I want to see these guys on the scale because we haven't seen Emmett in a while. There are concerning reasons here. And I think what's keeping me from running the window to bet Emmett at minus 150 is the fact that he's 6 years older than Dan Ige and that he's coming off this 1.5 year layoff, and we don't know how that knee is going to look. So those are some things that really give me pause. Plus the fact that, Ige's more experienced, and Ige's fought just as good, if not the better competition thus far in the UFC. So, this is a very well-matched fight. Emmett's known for his power, but it's not like Ige doesn't have power. And Ige grapples more, but Emmett is very good with his defensive wrestling, and he's very good at keeping the fight on the feet when he wants it there. But he showed us in the Holtzman fight that if he wants to wrestle and dominate you that way, he has that ability in his back pocket to do it, and he did it successfully in that fight. So we have seen that side of him. The pick, you guys, is going to be Josh Emmett by decision. And I think that it's not a terrible look here at plus 190 on FanDuel. That's worth, a half unit to win one, in my opinion, almost 1 unit. That could be something I'm going to be looking at. But let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat here. Let's see. About better saying, Victor, we have to have a Weezy meetup. I'm a drunk too. And Davey's saying, haven't found a brewery I didn't like. Yeah, me too, man. Breweries are fantastic places to eat and drink. I love it there. So that's a curious thought. Strength of schedule. It has to be close over the last 2-3 years. Yeah, it absolutely is close over the last 2-3 years. We just looked over those fights, man. And yeah, it's very close. Chan Sung Jung, Calvin Cater, Edson Barbosa. And then Emmett's fighting guys like Burgos, man. I mean, it's very close. Blood Money saying, what's up, everyone? I'm on Emmett. I put him in a parlay with Perez and another parlay with Emmett and Gamrot from next week. Yeah, and I like Perez this week too. Perez is so dangerous. I think he's better everywhere. He's just got to watch out if he does take down Schnell for those submissions from Schnell's back, because he's good there. But in his own right, Alex Perez is an excellent wrestler, and he's got some excellent front chokes. So I do like, I definitely like Perez as well. I hope I feel the same after getting all of Weezy's stats. And keep the drinks. Pass me the blunt, says G, the mattress guy. Good work, Weezy. We appreciate you. You're my kind of guy, G. Nice work, man. Davey saying, wow, what a breakdown. Only thing we don't know is their blood types. Darren saying, can't argue with Emmett or Perez on this card. Both close fights, but good calls, in my opinion. And Blood Money saying, yeah, mine too. Blood Money saying, if Ige didn't get that nod over Barbosa, he'd be 1-3 in his last 4. I had Barbosa winning that fight. Yeah, Barbosa dropped him in the first, and at the end of the second, Ige was in trouble there too. But, that was just like the last 30 seconds. And some of, two of those judges must have thought that Ige got that. But that was a really close fight. I loved that fight. And I was really blown away by Ige's durability, especially in that first round. So I feel like Ige has competed with the best, but hasn't beaten the best yet. And that's why I separate out those strength to schedule stats by overall wins and losses, because that wins in particular, when you see the type of fighter that a guy is beating in the UFC, can be very telltale about whether he's on the level of the person that he's about to fight. Davey Allen saying, great card. Hell yeah. This is a great card. And let's see. So who's the Weezy pick? The Weezy pick, you guys, is going to be Josh Emmett by decision. Tapology, 70% on Emmett. Yeah, all right, nice. And is Emmett a parlay leg? No, I would not parlay Emmett here. I think that Ige is very live in the spot. I think Emmett via KO or decision. Yeah, that could be a good one. Just get the sub out of the equation, because he's probably not subbing Dan Ige. That legal weed, Michigan and Illinois, is slept on. We have water. Our beer and weed reflects it. Primo. Agreed. Darren saying, I don't like the Ige win over Gavin Tucker. It's a shadow upgrade, meaning it's a fast win. Doesn't explain much overall. Yeah, that's something that people don't realize, is that sample size matters. So when you get these wins that happen in 10, 15 seconds, they just don't, as a bettor, tell you much about the fighter that just won. So yeah, great point, Darren. And Blood Money saying, I see a decision too. I'm glad Weezy picked the way I did. Hey, Weezy, a smart person told me you don't have to bet every fight. That's right. Vegas has to put a line for every fight, but we don't have to bet every fight. I'm parlaying Emmett with Cub and Wonder Boy. Oh yeah, some good spots from next week there too. Weezite meet up in the Chicago PD drunk tank. No thanks, man. We don't want to be in that Chicago cop drunk tank, man. You'll get beaten the shit out of in there. Thanks, Weezy and Sharps in chat. I took fight goes to decision. Yeah, that's the bet. I've been weed sober for 3 weeks. That's all right. You can always get back on the train if you feel like it. Weed isn't addictive. I am going nuts. Well, that can happen sometimes when you're off the weed. Wait a second. So if Dan Ige lost the decision to Barbosa and didn't get a flash KO with Tucker, I know it's a stretch overall, but he could be 0-4. That is a possibility, yeah. I took fight goes to decision as well. Let's cash, baby. Let's cash, you guys. We hit up all the stats. We hit up all the lines. We hit up all the angles of this fight. I'm going with Josh Emmett by decision, and I like the fight goes to decision at -150, -155. Not running to the window to make any of these bets, to be honest with you. But when you really go balls deep into the stats, as long as Josh Emmett isn't washed up here at 36 and that knee holds up, I do like his chance to win. You guys, there's 34 of you guys hanging out live at like almost midnight on a Wednesday night. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me. I am done with my content for the week. The next time you guys are going to see me is 1 hour before the prelims on DFS by the Numbers channel with Narco Cop and another guest. I'm not sure who. We're going to break down our best bets for all 15 fights on the UFC 269 card. And then next week, is the last UFC event of 2021, Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. You will find me right here. You will find me on Pub Sports Radio every Sunday and Tuesday, and I will be making a surprise guest appearance. I'm not going to tell you any more about it on Pub Sports Radio on Monday night, and I will also have something for you guys special on Wednesday night, as I will be joining my guys Chronic Combat Conversations on Wednesday night. I did 10 hours worth of content this week. When we get up to Saturday, I think next week it might be closer to 12 or 13, but then we got the rest of the year off, so the hard work will be able to be put in the back pocket for a second. I'll be able to enjoy life, but there's really nothing more enjoyable than talking mixed martial arts with you guys. I appreciate all of you for hanging out, and I will see you all next week. But as far as this week, let's all stack a bunch of cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 269. Good luck on all your bets, guys, and I will see you soon.